In GTI Club Rally Côte d'Azur, you can drive as a dog. All of the Chinese racing games use the European version of the S550 Mustang. In Need for Speed Most Wanted 2005, the semi-trucks have a similar color scheme to the iconic M3 GTR. In Street Supremacy, you can turn a Toyota Altiza into a BMW. The third generation Pontiac Firebird in Tokyo Extreme Racer 3 is not one of the V8 versions or even the V6 version, but the base model SE with the infamous 90 horsepower Iron Duke 2.5 liter inline 4. It was the only 4-cylinder incarnation of the Firebird and only offered from 1982 to 1985. The layout of the Cheyenne variant of Nevada Highway and Need for Speed Pro Street is a mirrored version of the Watkins Glen International short course used by NASCAR. Polyphony Digital infamously had to change the livery of the Ford Taurus racing modification in Gran Turismo 2 shortly after release when Roush Racing threatened legal action for using the design of Mark Martin's number 6 Valvoline car without permission. The layouts of the Rome South Track and Supercar Street Challenge and the Rome Circuit in GT5 and 6, aside from differences in elevation, camber, and width, are pretty much identical. In Need for Speed Hot Pursuit 2010, the Carbon Motors E7 concept is the only car featured in any racing game. It's a purpose-built police car by Carbon Motors Corporation, but the company closed in 2013 due to a failed loan request. In Automodelista, completing all 7 mountain-based tracks unlocks a hidden racetrack called the Tamiya Circuit. Tamiya is one of Japan's largest hobby manufacturers, known for model kits, RC cars, and more. Unsurprisingly, this turns the car you drive into an RC car, complete with noises and accurate speed. Colin McRae 2005 got ported to the Nokia N-Gage, but it wasn't really a port. It was just CMR 2.0 with CMR 2005 slapped over it. Burnout Paradise has indicators guiding the player where to go when in a race. This feature can also be found in the Getaway games. There's a prototype menu theme that is used in Race Driver Grid's March 7, 2008 preview build. Thanks to the developer of the Grid Extra mod, this menu music is restored in it. Gran Turismo 7, the motion-based scapes and some of the menus use the in-game physics engine. This caused the menus and scapes to go haywire under specific circumstances when Update 149 released. If you tuned the car in a specific way, the car would start behaving rather erratically.
It's twerking. Up the mountain we go, twerking up the mountain, twerking up the mountain with that booty. Max Verstappen doesn't even care, and he's just like, oh yeah, here. Okay, that's sick. That's not even broken. That is straight up sick right there. Yo. Yo. Okay. That is like the baller way of going around the carousel. That is a baller way.
Sonic and All-Stars Racing Transformed is the racing game with the most crossovers to date. It includes many Sega properties such as of course Sonic, but also Jet Set Radio, Super Monkey Ball, or Crazy Taxi. It also has third-party characters such as real-life race driver Danica Patrick, and Disney had an agreement that Wreck-It Ralph will appear in the game if it would be allowed that Sonic appears in the movie. The Steam version takes this to the extreme and also adds more Sega characters such as the Football Manager, Shogun from Total War Shogun 2, or Ryo from Shenmue, which also happens to have an Outrun cabinet as his car, a Super Hang-On cabinet as his boat, and a Space Harrier cabinet as his plane. But also Heavy, Pyro, and Spy from Team Fortress 2 appear as one character. There's also a paid DLC featuring Simon from the real-life YouTube channel Yogscast as a part of a charity DLC promotional for the Yogscast Dwarven Dairy Drives Humble Bundle. Despite being a racing game with licensed cars, Street Racing Syndicate has outlived Forza Horizon 4, Need for Speed Speed Shift 1, Shift 2, The Run, Project Cars 1, 2, 3, Grid 1, 2, Auto Sports, Dirt Rally, Dirt 3, 4, Showdown, Midnight Club 2, Fast and Furious Showdown, and Crossroads on Steam. Burnout Paradise has the hardest car to unlock in any racing game, in which you have to play co-op and complete 500 challenges split into different player numbers, timed or not, and using bikes. Midnight Club 3 has some obscure game modes found in the arcade menu, in which also power-ups are available. The Cop's rubber band is so strong they can pursue you even upside down. In F1 2011, if you slide for more than 10 meters, you get the Have You Considered Dirt 3 achievement. You know how Ferrari forbids customizing the cars in video games? Well, some people also found evidence pointing towards BMW not allowing their cars to be customized in video games, at least during the mid-2000s. They just weren't as public and vocal about it as Ferrari. Some of the proof cited for this includes the Mini Cooper, which was intended to be introduced in one of the Need for Speed Underground games, but the team ultimately didn't add the car. Given how Underground became famous on ramping up customization, it wouldn't make much sense to have a car with limited customization. In Most Wanted, while the M3 GTR seems like a customized car, it's been noted that it's ultimately an American Le Mans series car, right down to its primary colors, only with the colors reordered. Also, while it's well known that you can't customize the M3 GTR, you also can't customize the Street M3 found in the Black Edition. Finally, in the game files, there's a folder labeled BMW M3, the implication being that there were plans to add a standard M3, but not being allowed customization while also not having the perks of the GTR versions led to it being abandoned. BMW was also featured in Juice 2, but while it had a wide array of customization and aftermarket brands, the only ones available for BMW cars are BMW branded parts. In Jak X Combat Racing, you could get save bonuses from the previous Jak games, Ratchet & Clank, and by connecting Daxter via PSP cable. In the PS4 re-release, they kept those bonuses if you bought the other re-releases. In Forza Horizon 2, there's an achievement called Friends with Benefits, where you have to earn 1 million credits from the Rivals mode. Forza Motorsport 1 has a hidden multi-screen menu, accessed by highlighting the last option in the options menu and clicking the left stick while moving down. Unlike the Western releases, the Japanese version of F1 Pole Position 64 did not have an official Formula 1 license. However, instead of just having completely fictional names for the drivers, the Japanese version actually used spoonerism of real-life driver names. As a result, these are the driver names featured in this version. Richard Burns Rally is a descendant to the Rally Championship series of games. Before it was licensed as Richard Burns, the internal development name for this game was simply Rally 7, as in Rally Championship 7. A GameCube version of this game was developed too, but it was cancelled halfway through the project due to the bad sales figures GameCube games were showing. Inside CMR 2005's event configuration file is a list of cars. However, among that list are multiple models that do not make an appearance in the game, including all of these models right here. Carl Edwards was missing from NASCAR 07 and 08 because he instead elected to make a plug-and-play game. He was still planned to appear in NASCAR 07 though, but it's only accessible through cheats and or modding. In Shift 2 Unleashed, there was supposed to be a third DLC for the game, but due to the fallout between Slightly Mad Studios and EA, it was cancelled, resulting in Roadster versions and the Koenigsegg Agera never getting released officially. However, they're able to be driven again with the unofficial community patch, complete with Works conversion. Few of those Works kits are reused on later games, like the Agera one in The Run. There's also hidden voice lines mentioning the Roadster cars, and also a few tracks that never ended up getting used.
Alright man, you've earned some R&R. You're getting a break from the track and taking in some sun. You're hitting the Pacific Coast in an Audi R8 Spider. Best of all, you beat the clock in an epic drive, and that car goes home with you. You're living the dream right now. Go have some fun. Alright, you're about to rip the front scenery in two with the Koenigsegg Agera. Driving just doesn't get better than this. Push hard, get a great time, and you'll walk away with the car.
There's a one-of-a-kind, fully functional PS2 which is based on the M3 GTR from Most Wanted. This is the only one made, and it was unveiled at Game Convention 2006 in Leipzig, Germany to promote Need for Speed Most Wanted. You can spot Bigfoot in the Crew 1 and 2. The actress model for Izzy in Need for Speed Most Wanted, Milena Leticia Roca, went on to become a professional wrestler and wrestled in WWE as Rosa Mendez. For some reason, Milestone released 2 different games named after popular drivers of that sport in the same year, namely Sebastian Loeb Rally Evo and Valentino Rossi The Game. Not really a racing game fact, but in Battlefield Hardline, in the mission Out of Business, you can spot a TFK logo from Need for Speed Carbon on a car. Also a mission later, you can see a Rosolini Tempesta from Burnout Paradise inside the mansion's garage. In Need for Speed 2, you can drive as a dinosaur.
3, 2, 1, go!
Did you know in the Wii U version of Need for Speed Most Wanted 2012, there are secret garages you can enter by a green pipe, which has cars with liveries referencing to Mario games. I mentioned in my last video how you could fish in Need for Speed Mobile, but apparently there's other strange things you can do in it, like being able to use a jetpack for free roaming. The marketing campaign for MotorStorm Apocalypse was stopped due to real-life earthquakes and tsunamis that struck Japan in March 2011. The game's release was delayed, and marketing materials were removed out of sensitivity to the disaster and its impact on Japan. In the first MotorStorm game, there was a rally car called the Patriot 85 that was not available for the US and PAL releases of the game. It was heavily based on the DeLorean DMC-12. In Need for Speed Pro Street, the announcer for React Team Sessions is John Hinchau. He's commentated on endurance racing for decades and is probably one of the most iconic voices in the sport.
You know, there's been so much going on top of this today, I've almost forgotten to mention Ryan KEMMEI. I'm sure many of you have been following Kim for some time, and you'll be pleased to know you'll be lining up out there later today. Kim was fresh from Showdown Chicago, where, to be honest, he didn't quite take away the wins he'd been hoping for. Still, he's a remarkable driver, and I, for one, am glad to see him at React Team Sessions here.
You'd know John, of course, from Radio Le Mans, IMSA Radio, and of course locally by calling the Bathurst 12 Hour for the past few years. There's no doubt about it, if you know that it's an important meeting anywhere in the world if John Hindhaugh is the man behind the microphone.
In Importuner Challenge, clicking right stick on Skull Bullet's Mitsubishi Concept 10 turns it into a fictional WRC 05 inspired version. The Cadillac 16 in Midnight Club 3 is so special only the player can use it. You can't allow opponents to have it by modifying some cheat engine values. You can find Hideo Kojima as a spectator in multiple races in GT Sport. The first 3 USA stages in Col McRae Rally 3 are based off Pikes Peak Hill Climb. In Need for Speed The Run, there are multiple references to aliens and dinosaurs in the environment. The first time Koenigsegg made an appearance in a racing game was Midtown Madness 3, which was released in 2003. In 2005, Robert Kubica entered the Polish Championship for the Col McRae Rally game. Despite only starting to play the game 2 days before the event and not owning a computer himself, he qualified for the finals with the 5th fastest time, even with a 30-second penalty. In the final, a referee error initially denied him victory by wrongly adding 60 seconds to his time. After correcting the mistake, Kubica was declared the winner by 0.7 seconds. The next day, controversy erupted online. Other competitors accused Kubica of cheating, claiming it was impossible for a newcomer to beat top players. Kubica joined the discussion, denied cheating, and said he only entered for fun and didn't care about the title. After failing to convince anyone, he stopped responding. Eventually, an event organizer confirmed the win was legitimate and expressed frustration with the accusations. The case was closed and archived. In Twisted Metal 2, if you defeat Minion Boss on easy difficulty, the game will not let you continue forwards, forcing you to restart the whole game on medium or hard. Similar thing happens with a different game made by the same developer, single track, called Critical Depth. Although many games included both playable cars and playable motorcycles in the same game, it wouldn't be until 2003 for a racing game to feature both of them racing simultaneously. That game was Midnight Club 2. The second racing game to feature both in the same event was Midnight Club 3 Dub Edition, released 2 years later in 2005. Shift 2 Unleashed is the last Need for Speed game to feature a first-person camera. The C6 Corvette was intended to appear in Gran Turismo 4 per a placeholder banner inside the game files. In Toka Race Driver 3, the crowds actually use umbrellas when raining. In Test Drive Unlimited 1, if you can't pay your police fines, you have to sit in jail for 30 seconds. In Gran Turismo 5, the underbody of the R34 is from a diecast model. Also regarding this game, on the Tokyo R246 track, which is a real place, there is a billboard advertising the release of Yakuza 3 in Japan. In Ridge Racer Type 4, the Lizard Nightmare has death and sacrifice written on the rear wing elements in the Japanese release. It was changed to Nightmare and Lizard in the other releases. It's also the only car ever in Ridge Racer history to be powered by a thermonuclear fusion engine. In Ridge Racer Slipstream, there's a body kit for the Kamata Fiera called God Eater, which the name references one of Bandai Namco's other games. Out of the 97 cars that are in GT Advance 3 Pro Concept Racing, only one is in Japanese, the 2003 Chevrolet Monte Carlo NASCAR, which is known as the Radiocon in-game. In MotoGP from Namco, you can drive as Klonoa. One of the coolest ways to unlock a cheat code is in Colomacre Rally 1, where if you race in Corsica's special stage at night and go off course on an incomplete road to the side of the finish line, your car will shut down with no way to turn it back on. You will then get abducted by a UFO, which also gives you a cheat code that you can input later. Afterwards, it resets you back on the track, but the car will be tremendously wobbly like a cartoon and adds 10 full minutes into the timer. The game Road Trip Adventure has a feature where if you go out of bounds, the game forces you to retire. This means you can also force other racers to retire if you get them out of bounds, which also means that Road Trip Adventure is the only racing game where you can canonically send the president into an early retirement home. Sega Rally Revo features a whole original Hot Wheels car as an unlockable by completing 100% on Championship mode. Not many know why this collaboration was even a thing, because there aren't that many links about it, but the model is pretty faithful to the actual diecast car. In Midnight Club 3, in one of the races called Rev Limit, if you use one of the ramps in the race, it spawns a mysterious red Dodge Viper that does not participate in the race. It also uses NOS, and after some time, the car will remain in the middle of the road. It's most likely to be a reference to a character called Dice in Midnight Club 2, which drives a similar car called Jersey X2. In California Speed for N64, there's a placeholder text on one of the billboards. I'm not going to read it out, so pause the video if you want to read it for yourself. V-Rally 2 went by a few different names. There's V-Rally 2 Expert Edition for PC and Dreamcast. There's V-Rally 2 Championship Edition for PlayStation. Infogrames distributed the games in Europe under these names. Before the Dreamcast version for North America, it's associated with the Test Drive series, possibly for name recognition. Similarly, the North American PlayStation release has it associated with the Need for Speed series instead, distributed by Electronic Arts. The Quartz Regalia, the fictional luxury car from Final Fantasy XV and first added in Horizon 3, is technically the oldest car ever added to the Forza series, as its production year is listed as 723. The oldest real-life production car ever added to the Forza series is the Austin 7, the production year of which is listed as 1924, added in only Horizon 4. 2 years older than the previous oldest Forza car, the Bugatti Type 35C, which was first added in Forza Motorsport 7. In the Fast and the Furious game, at the opening cutscene of the game, if you're playing a PAL EU version of the game, you'll be given a Toyota Supra to drive. However, if you're playing on the NTSC version, you'll be given a Honda NSX instead. This was done because the PAL version doesn't have any Acura or Honda in the game. A go-kart track called Piazza del Campo, which was set in the Italian town of Siena, was cut from Gran Turismo 5 as the Consortium for the Protection of the Paleo, who owned the copyrights to the architecture, had issues with the track appearing. Their main issue was with some of the flags being included. They even went as far as to threaten Sony Computer Entertainment with legal action if the track wasn't removed. This also included seizing every copy of the game upon release. Next Level Games, the devs behind Mario Strikers and other big Nintendo games, were founded by ex-Black Box employees that left the studio right before the EA acquisition. In Dirt 3, the RMR PM580's active rear wing is actually functional, closing whenever you reach 110 kilometers an hour. Atlas, the creators of the Persona series, have published their own toge racing game for the PS2 called Road Rage 3, which was developed by the infamous Phoenix Games, who are known for shovelware Disney games. And that is 20 minutes of useless and maybe a bit of interesting information about racing games. Do let me know what you thought about these facts, and if I missed some, feel free to type them in the comments down below. Thank you to everyone from the previous video for writing in suggestions, and also everyone on Discord who helped out with this video. Hope